about a lot of mental and physical stuff, haven't we? Haven't shown you how to throw a blow, haven't shown you how to use shield, yada. Right? So, from your experience, who is the best fighter you ever saw and why?
Uther. Just because he's a fucking animal. The people come out to fight him, and he doesn't care. He's like, okay, I'm going to do what I want to you, and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
True. Kyle?
There's a bunch of really good ones for me. Uther he's a really good fight. Duke Radnor from the West, I think he's a really interesting fight to watch.
Yeah.
I know.
And unfortunately, you never got to see him in his prime.
Well, sure is. But I don't know. The list is really long. It's just they all do different things, and they all do what they want to do.
Right. Would you say they were more mental or physical?
Mental is a huge part of it. You know, they don't go out there thinking that they're going to lose or hope that they win. They go out there because they're going to go out there and execute their plan.
Exactly. Kelvin?
Sven.
Yeah.
Duke Sven on tier 11.
Right. Let's narrow that down.
12 Duke Sven.
Let's narrow that down. And why?
Because he walks out there with confidence, and he's one of the few people I know who gets faster when he gets tired.
And one of the reasons that probably is, from what I've heard and seen, the little bit I've seen, is he goes on autopilot. Because he can't use all that energy anymore. So now he flips the switch, goes on autopilot, and it's duck soup from there. So, from my grandson, yeah, he's a brute. All right, Jade trained him, Faye trained him, I trained those two. Radnor trained me along with Paul, right? So the string of consistency there is, it's a mental physical, and you need to understand those pieces parts and how they function and how to hone your skills in both areas. What's the most common conversation you and I have had? It's in between your ears. I can see it. He recognizes it, so we're on it. We're working at it. Okay? Each of you has probably got something you want to hone. Okay? So today would be the day to do that. If we can send you home with something to get that done, even better. For the beginners, we're going to start out in the beginning. Okay? So, Varia, of all the weapons forms you've seen, which one do you like to fight least? And why?
Least?
Against
fight least. Fight against least. Yeah, see?
Glaive.
Okay. Yeah. Joel.
Pole arms. I'm just lazy to like
Any pole arm or
longer ones.
okay.
Anything that involves
It was like
anything along the aggressive saunter forward.
Yeah, but come on, dude. Why?
Because I like to hassle them.
Yeah. But there's the thing here is that we could name off every kind of weapon known to man, and we would go, I hate fighting that. But why? Where is that?
It's rusty.
Is that in between your ears?
Yep.
Right?
Because I haven't figured out how to beat it yet.
Right. We haven't trained into it. Right? So again, the difference between training, practice, and combat. Training, there are roles, right? Opponent versus opponent, right? But you're honing stuff. When you get down to it, training, from my point of view, involves two distinct roles: the trainer and the trainee. My job as the trainer is to speak. Yours as the trainee is to listen. I listen to you and I reply. I ask you if you understand, and you say yes, and the next thing that's going to happen is I am going to ask you to perform as trained. What did I say versus what you do? Now, Misty's got a camera out here, which is really good, because that's the #1 training tool I've used over the decades. Because you can lie to me, and you can lie to everybody else, but you can't lie to Mr. Video. It's not going to happen. The good part is that when you say something that everybody disagrees with, Mr. Video provides proof. Right? No, see, but it doesn't feel that way. Over the years, yeah, I've had tons of it. It does not feel that way. Okay? I had a trainee in the West that did this and swore to me and the rest of the trainees he didn't do that. This person was already a knight. Got him in the garage, showed him on the camera, and he was like, no. So I see it, but I don't feel it. And I went, yeah, and that's up here. Right? So a lot of times you're going to be doing things and you're not going to recognize the value in figuring out, are you doing it right? Okay? Cautionary tale. If you walk up to someone and you say, hey, that was great, show me how you did that, what normally happens?
I don't know how to
Show you how to do it?
They show you how to do it. They tell you not to do it against a lefty. Don't ever do it against a great sword. Oh, by the way, if you do this to do so-and-so, your leg's going to be over there. No, they don't. So is the good trainee, because you put yourself and that person in a training role. You ask those questions. Can I do it against the lefty? Can I do it against a great sword? Can I do it against the blade? Right? Because I've had a lot of people injured because they walked up to a 2%er and said, hey, that was great. How did you do that? And all they got was, I did it like this. And the next thing you know, that component they shouldn't have done it against, yeah, just broke their arm or just hit them in the hand or, or they give up. That's my biggest boo-joo about that kind of thing, is that the trainer didn't do their job, so the trainee is now going to give up on it. But the other deal about this, when we're talking about training, it is not practice. Practice is where you roll out what you've been training on. Okay? And once you've practiced it enough, you take it to combat. Right? A lot of people will skip the first two and just, again, hey, how'd you do that? Oh, I did it this way. How come you're not fighting this week? Yeah, that thing you showed me, yeah, I hurt my wrist really bad. My elbow sort of popped out. I did it and I got hammered right in the bicep. Okay. How many different shields you see lying around? Been talking a lot about weapons.
Quite a few.
Yeah. Okay. Yuri, what shield style do you hate to fight?
None. I enjoy trying to get around them, figuring them all out.
Right.
I haven't run into one that I really just hate. They all work similar.
Joel, you have a Buju shield that'll mess with you between your ears?
I have issues against like the bigger Scootaloo usually.
Yeah.
Just because they have 4 corners and they move a lot. So.
And notice that what we're talking about right now, because we don't have a bunch of shield wall shields here, we're talking about a lot of the single combat stuff. If we were talking war, the training session would be completely different. Still, this piece would be good, but once we got to shields and weapons, yeah, if I hand you an axe or a mace and I hand you a Scootaloo, you pretty much know you're going to be in a shield war. Okay, your job is delineated for you.
But we do have guys that fight with the great big huge in single combat, which
Yeah, I've had, we've seen people over the years that have rolled out big shields and we look at them and giggle. It's like, okay.
Throw around your own shield.
So. The idea is to always remember that your training, your practice, your combat is your responsibility. If you're not getting trained for something, ask somebody. Right? There's no such thing as a stupid question, but there's unanswered questions. And that's the way it's going to be today. If you've got a question, by God, then you need to ask it. Right? This is the forum where you can get that question out there the first time, get it out there. Okay, so most of you know all the pieces parts. Most of you know all the players standing in the room. Okay? In the room, who's your toughest fighter?
Actually, Dave.
Why?
With this weapon style, with Amadio, he's good at covering his hip really well, and he closes and can be defensive with it.
Okay. Kyle.
My toughest guy's Gabe.
Why?
He's really fast and gets away really fast, so it's hard for me to get close to enough to run comfortable with him.
Right. Joan.
Kyle or Conrad.
Why?
Because I struggle with getting my shots to land because he's so good at anticipating and covering.
Yes. Okay. All right, young lady, it's your turn. Who is your toughest fight? And why? In this room.
That's a hard question to answer because everybody is difficult in their own particular way.
Okay.
So each fight was.
Point a couple out to me.
So if I were to fight Dave, I have to really be paying attention to his speed and his long arms because he has a lot of reach. And so I can't get in close and wait around on him like I might be able to with Duke Morgan. With Kyle, because of his reach and his height, I have to really make sure that I'm covering my top line. I can't get away with dropping my hands ever. With Alex is so fast with his back block that I have a really hard time getting anything to land, even if I get around his forward defense. Sorry, kindness. With Joel.
Whatever we call it.
White Sox, you're
With
Alex.
Joel, whenever I fight Joel, his shield work is so tight that I have to be very, very careful with each of my blows because if I misthrow one thing, I will think that I have hit him and I won't, and I'll get smacked upside the head.
Right.
With Yuri, he's so fast and so Gumby-like, I know that his lines are going to be absolutely everywhere. They're going to come from above, below, from the side, behind. I have to be very, very careful. If I'm in B range at all, I'm going to die. I have to get through B range and into A range. With Calvin, her shield work is tight enough that I have to make sure that I engage her shield first if I'm going to be able to survive that fight.
Okay.
Everybody
So what did you guys just hear? I heard a trainee that pays attention. That's what I heard.
Everyone's unique.
Okay. You want to know what you do? Ask her. But the idea of having all that information was also buffered with the fact that it's a cautionary tale. She's learned the lesson, right? Any given day, any given fighter with any given weapon form can beat another one. Period. End of story. We're back to that skill and dumb luck thing a little bit, but we're also back to the top 2%. In their skill set, they don't care who you are and they don't care what you bring to the field. They've already honed everything and they're ready to go. Okay. When we talk about training, though, and we tend to, some people go, oh man, I hate training. I don't like doing tail work, and nobody's ever told me to do tail work, but they're assuming that that's what training is about. Training is a safe haven, and those of you that have worked with me before know that. You are not going to be surprised by me. I'm not going to attack you, and I'm definitely not going to hit you in any way, shape, or form until it speeds up. Everything is safe. If you don't feel it's safe to do, you raise your hand and we don't do it. We keep right on training. That's the way I'd like you to go and do this with other people, is to make sure that trainee is safe. This isn't practice and this isn't combat. Okay? There's no reason to palm in the back of the head with a rap when their shield is in their face. Doesn't make any sense. So when we talk about training, though, and we know from the top of our head to the bottom of our feet, all these pieces parts are going to be moving at different times, and they need to move in very specific ways. How do you train that? Right? One step at a time. Right? Throwing offside. When you're a beginner, having me tell you, I want you to take this, and I want you to go all the way over the back of your head. I want you to cut through here. I want you to literally take it, put it on the other side of your body. It's going to sound kind of foreign. Once you're shown how to do it, it's very simplistic. Most of the blows we do are very simplistic. Combinations and Molinets, however, are a little bit more complicated. But again, it's something to be trained into. So, Misty, what are you currently working on training-wise and practice-wise? What skill set are you honing?
Mental.
Okay. And in that mental side, are you going with your primary weapons?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have secondary weapons that you're going to bring into the fold to extend the mental?
Yes.
Okay. So right there's a plan. That's the next thing. Plan. You need to plan when you're, how am I going to do my training? How am I going to get it done? Who, what, where, when, why, and how? Okay, you answer all those questions. That real life thing comes along and disrupts it a little bit. Okay. Maybe you go out in the backyard and, instead of going to practice and you hit the pedal and you move around, you do a bunch of footwork. You do a bunch of combinations that you know for a fact feel wrong. And then ask the question, why? What's wrong? If you can't answer it, then put it away. Don't keep honing that bad skill. Put it away and get to practice and we'll work on it. For all the things you have honed, you are now ready to compete with them, correct? Okay. How many of you journaled your combat results? Okay. How many of you journal practice? There you go. How many of you journal training? There we go. Okay. That's where you want to start out. How are you going to remember where you were and what you were doing wrong 3-4 months ago, and it shows up again? Right? The journal is not just the idea of, oh, well, I know I need it for a couple of weeks, but if you know for a fact you had this problem last year, go look it up. What happened? Oh, wow, last time this happened, I munged my elbow just like I did now. Things like that. How many of you have something mental or physical in our sport that you've been working on for more than 6 months and haven't got past? Misty, what is it?
My wrap. My head wrap.
Your head wrap against an opponent?
Yes. I can do it fine on the pedal.
Okay. And yeah, that's true. Thank you very much for that. Right. Okay.
The nerve impingement I have in my neck.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... God, I love you, but there's part of me that wishes you'd never fight again. Because I want you to get to my age and be able to move all of these appendages. Joel, what's yours?
Offside shots.
Offside. Okay. Offside and movement, offside static, both?
Movement and maybe.
Okay.
Offside leg. But obviously it doesn't come up so much.
Right. What Misty said is very important because, yeah, I've been harping on you. You need to do pelvic, you need to do this, you need to do that. Closer and closer a drill or closer and closer slow work you're doing is to combat, the more likely your success. Right? When you're standing at the pel and you can do it, here's the next question. Those of you that do pel work, how many of you do it unarmored? How many of you do it armored? Including the helmet. Including the shield. Okay? Kinda, right? So, if you're going to go ahead and work on it, anyway, are you going to be wearing all that stuff in combat? You bet you are. Otherwise, usually the marshal won't let you on the field. So why not wear it during all of your training? A second skin feel?
Just to throw in, what I do is when I do it unarmored, it's to see the movement and to get the plan first, and then I get into armor and try to apply it.
Right.
That's what I
so
do.
That's why I asked you. It's like in armor with a out of armor, in armor, with a helmet, with a sword and a shield, because they all have their place. But ultimately, the closer to combat, the better. So, Aaron, you're just coming back. You got a bum knee.
Yeah.
Okay? So realistically, how long do you think it'll be before you will be able to do combat and fight from your knees?
That is the answer question.
And it's realistic.
It's realistic.
When you're injured or you're coming back or you have an infirmity, okay, you really have to pay attention to what's going on in your training and your practice. Because by God, if that body part is telling you in training and practice that, you know what? Then you probably definitely shouldn't go to combat. Yeah, I know, it hurts. Yeah, I know you want to. But I want you to 5 years from now. I don't want you to go out now and make it happen to where you can't fight for 2 years. Okay? Again, it's another part of the mental aspect. Our sport demands, okay? It demands of us that we understand the physicality of not only our fighting, but that of someone like Uther. Okay? Because when you walk out against his grace, you are prime target number 1, and he's got tone from the time you walk on the field. Okay? If there's a physicality of you that can't deal with that, then you need to address it. Okay, so enough about the physical, the mental, and all this other stuff. How many of you can throw a 3-blow combination to be successful? And why?
Generally because the first 2 are opening up what I actually want to hit with.
Okay. Position.
I also I don't like to throw at things that aren't likelihood of hitting, so I try and throw at things to get the defense to move.
Right. So once again, 2 types of targets, right? Ones you give me all on your own, and ones I can force you to give me. I guarantee you, if I make something look like it's coming at your eye slot this way, that shield's going to come up. Once that shield come up, if mine's right here, guess where mine's going to be? Right on that one, because I'm already stepping halfway around you to hit you in the back of the head. But all of that happens because you trained and practiced. And all of that can happen wrong, right? Why? Because what is the counter to what we're just talking about?
Them reacting.
I will run right into you. Okay? I will lift that shield up, recognize where your set is, and I will go right at your center. Why? Where's your balance? Right in your center. Right? So what looks like a really good offense turns into a really bad defense. And that's where we're going next. Most of you have talked to me before, and you know that I believe the 5-on-5 on each side, offense and defense, and how they function. What we've never worked on, or what I've worked on with my former trainees here, is the fact that they all happen in the same moment. Okay? All range, blow selection, blow area recognition. I used to say blow recognition on the defense, but I learned through even my own movements that that's not true, because I'm feeding you information that's false. And where you think that blow is going is not. And as soon as you tell me that you're going to move towards where you think it is, that's the moment it's going the other way. So, then you have to do what? You have to select a blow if you're swinging at somebody, or you have to select a defense if you're being swung at. Then you have to do the hardest 2 that we have. You have to deliver it, and you have to recover it. And recovery is the one that's usually ignored the most. Okay? I guarantee if I brought Mr. Video out, and I set you up, and I put your opponent on a spot, and told you to line up, that each time you return to that spot, something would be different. If I continued it while you were fighting, okay, suddenly we'd notice your feet aren't in the same spot. Sword didn't come back as far. Things like that, right? Which will affect where you're going to go next. And if I find out I can dictate that, that's a bad day for you. Because I'll keep you in a position where you can't shoot, and then you're going to get aggravated, or you're going to get annoyed, and you're going to try and shoot. A lot of this is nothing but repetition, right? But it's repetition with a purpose, just like every other sport. Okay? I mean, batting practice in baseball, free throw shots in basketball, shooting on a goal in soccer. It's all the same thing. You're trying to get to the end. In our sport, there's a lot of different ends, right? Because there's a lot of different weapons, right? So you fought for 5 years with sword and board, and now Now you've seen somebody fight 2 swords, and that's what you want to do next. Good stuff. I mean, this is great. I don't think I pick up 2 swords and walk out onto a combat field. Right? You need to go through the training for that. One of the reasons to fight other weapons forms is to understand how they function. Right? From the inside. Oh, so this is what they see. So when Primus is fighting with his oval, this is what he sees. Right? Morgan's fighting with his greats. Oh, this is what he. Oh, okay. Because they're different. Up here as well, right? Especially up here. Just because you were great with a sword and a board doesn't mean you're going to be great with 2-stick. Right? So, we've gone through all of that. We've gone through 5-on-5. We can go into that later if you want to. For those that have trained with me, you know what I'm talking about. Literally, in fighting, you have to have range to do anything. There's no use me swinging at you if you're 3 feet away from me. And there's no use for me moving my shield if you're 3 feet away and you're not swinging it. But you have to train yourself to move them instantaneously. And you have to move them both at the same time. So far, the closest I've come to what we do in another sport is a hockey goalie. He's got a stick in one hand and a mitt in the other. They're both used for completely different things. And he's on 2 sets of blades. Doesn't get much crazier than that. And he's looking through a helmet just like me. So, closer and closer. So, when you've gone into combat, everybody who's entered a crown, raise your hand. Everybody semifinals and above, raise your hand. What happened? You're in the semifinals. I know you haven't been king, and I know you haven't been king. Yeah. I know you haven't been king. So, what happened? What happened? Yeah, no, you've already been there. What happened?
I accidentally made it too far because I didn't want to.
You accidentally made it too far. This is why we do this, because because I was about to say, Misty, I want you to accidentally make it too far. Like, keep right on going. Okay, you're gonna have to explain that. I don't know what the hell that means.
So I was moving, but I had already so I had entered the crown tournament and then found out I was moving. But I was like, okay, well, I'll go fight, but I'll just go out early. So I drank a bottle of whiskey the night before to handicap myself.
You're going in the wrong direction.
I'm like, I drank with you before. That doesn't handicap him at all.
Oh, is this it?
Yeah, you're experienced.
Yeah.
You just sit there. So, Misty, in a more realistic frame of mind, what the hell happened?
Mentally blew it.
But why?
I don't know, you psych yourself out. Like,
Right.
You start to think.
yeah, I think you start thinking about the end instead of what's in front of you.
Right. Yet, those fights were no different than any other fight you've ever done. Once you add the C word, not combat,
Which C?
competition. All right? One of the worst known words for athletes in all sports. Even though they know they have done this sport for God only knows how long. They've trained, they've practiced, they've honed their skills, and they've proven themselves on a field of combat before. All of a sudden, they get to the semis or whatever, and things change. And it's in between your ears. So how many of you have entered a list, the name of your opponent gets announced, and you freak between your ears? Right? Primary, it's a prime example of what we're talking about. Oh my God, it's Duke, what's his puss, and he brought his who's it with him. Oh crap. Right, I know. Right, because the who's it, oh my God, the who's it. So we do it to ourselves. Right? It's one of the known things that we do to ourselves because of the C word. Right? Do you do it in practice? Do you do it in training? Okay. No, if you don't do it in practice, then why in the hell would you do it in combat? C word. Right? It's just the way we function until we train ourselves not to. Okay?
Well, how do you train us?
It is
One at a time. You gotta
It
break
is
things
as
down
simple.
to
What's his plus every opportunity you get?
Yeah. Number one. Number two. Right? But the most primary thing, why did it occur in the first place? You let it.
Well, right.
Right? So when you feel, if you start to feel nervous about something, what do? You calm yourself down, you dust yourself off, you start all over again. Right? So it is no different than that. If for any reason, and it could happen in practice, right? Duke, who's it with his what's it shows up, you look over and spot him and you're like, crap. Right then, your mental widget went that way. If that happens, then that's usually a worst case scenario. Right? Because there is no competition here. What is there is a training opportunity. Because we know that Duke what's it is a really nice guy. And we know that he's a pretty good trainer. Okay? So we're going to go approach him. And we're going to ask to be trained. Familiarity can breed contempt, but familiarity can also do away with a lot of our mental issues. If you're having trouble fighting with a greatsword, okay? I got a couple of people here you can play with right now, right? So we've got enough experience that you go and you do it. Because experience is what's gotten you to where you are right now. Right? So it's that next step in your evolution that you bring it up a notch mentally. Right? And you'll see you've seen people where all of a sudden they get their fright on the further they make it in a tournament. Right? They get twitchy about it. Who do I have to fight next? What's going on next? Who cares what's on next? Who's on first? I don't know. Right? We don't care. Once again, you have trained, you have practiced, and you have done enough combat that when you walk out into the field, the only thing you're looking for is the opponent to show up. Because the agreement is made at that point. You're ready to go to whatever level you've got in that fight. I'm not going to say to whatever level you had that day or had this week or this year, but in that one fight. And if you lose, don't lose the lesson. You lose, you go back and figure out why. Were you bested? Okay. Why? Faster than greased lightning. Been there, seen that.